All right, we'll get started in about 10 minutes, but I wanted to say hi and welcome to all those who are on early. We're glad to have you here. And for those on Zoom, thanks for changing your settings to all panelists and attendees. It's fun to see your chat. We have a few monitoring chat over on YouTube Live. So thanks for being here. We'll get started in about 10 minutes. But thanks for sharing where you're from. It's fun to read this chat. Thanks to those who have joined us early. It's fun to be watching the chat where you're from. Tell us a little bit about if you're here. Tell us what weather you're experiencing in the area. So far, I see we have people from Maryland, Oregon, Texas, Missouri, Massachusetts, California, Florida, Colorado, Arkansas, Georgia, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Ohio, North Dakota, Washington, Minnesota, Michigan. It's really fun to have so many people across the nation joining us. So tell us, I'm sure if you're in Northern California, it's pretty smoky. Maybe if you're from Texas, you're getting ready for a hurricane. But yeah, we'd love to hear what kind of weather you're experiencing. And thanks again for joining us early. We'll start officially in about 5 minutes, but I appreciate you making the chat active. This is fun to watch. Hello and welcome. We're glad you're here today. Thanks for joining us on this webinar about preparing for the school year, the 2020-2021 school year. Thanks for joining us. We have people on Zoom. We have people on YouTube Live. We're so glad you're here. You see the chat is active. Thanks for telling us where you're from, and it's fun to read what weather you're experiencing. We have so many states represented. It's been really fun to watch the chat and hear where you're from. So thanks for participating in that. Let me see, let's get this slide deck going and we'll get started talking about this school year. All right, my name is Jessica Smith. I am the substitute teacher trainer here at STEDI.org. I've been working with STEDI since about 2008. And we've been training substitute teachers like you nationally since 1995. So we have Kelly on chat, we have Sam on chat, we have Jeff on chat, and then Lisa, many of you know her. She's our customer service representative. So they'll be posting any links we refer to and answering questions as we go through our presentation today. Just want to make sure, are you reading me loud and clear? Are we cooking with oil, or can you hear me? Is it broadcasting well? I'll watch for the chat to make sure we're good to go. All right, great. Thank you so much. And for those on Zoom, I know it's a little bit different on YouTube Live, but if you're on Zoom, if you'll change your chat from all panelists to all panelists and attendees, we'll have a good chat going. And thanks for participating there. All right, I want to hear what your school district is doing. I'll have a lot of questions for you throughout this webinar, so keep your fingers ready and on your keys. But my first question is, what is your school district doing this year? Are you online? Are you in person? Is there a blend, or are you not substitute teaching? Blended, in person, not sure, hybrid, all online, blend, online, hybrid, online, in person. I'm sure many who are, if a school district is in person, likely they're substitute teaching today, because I know districts need subs now more than ever if they're in person. So great, not a sub this year, starting online. Very good, online initially. Okay. So we'll just quickly address the elephant in the room. No one knows how this school year is going to play out. Even schools that are in person could quickly switch to online, like we saw at the end of last year. And our goal here at STEDI is to make sure you're ready for anything. So we have a lot we're going to discuss today. Be sure to post your questions as you have them. I'll try to get it to as many as I can. If I don't answer them, it's likely because I missed it in the chat, or we'll be talking about it later in the webinar. So what is, and it could be your biggest concern, but what is one of your concerns for this school year? Let's share in the chat your concern. Are you nervous about finding a job, substitute teaching a job, or are you not sure if your school district's hiring you? Safety. All right, finding work. Safety and protocols. All right. Not having a job. If there's work available. Yes, so each school, as you know, sets up their own requirements for safety precautions, but we'll get to that. We'll try to address some of your concerns here. Now, here's the thing that I want you to remember about specifically each of you. You are a unique group of people that thrive in the unknown. You walk into a different classroom each day, uncertain of what to expect, and you figure it out every time. There really is no other group of educators like you. You have unique strengths that no one else in the school district does. And these strengths have actually prepared you to handle the uncertainty of this school year. So we'll talk more about that. and give you some ideas, but just know you are already equipped and have proven that you can walk into the unknown and do really well. So how do we increase our ability to step in where needed, especially when we don't know what is needed? And that's where training comes in. And you'll need more training this year than ever before. And again, I want to help you with that. And that's what we're going to talk about. There are 2 skills that I wanted to focus on during this webinar today. And in order to understand why I picked these 2 skills, we have to first visit the Eisenhower matrix. Do you know what an Eisenhower matrix is? Does this sound familiar? Is this ringing a bell? All right, let me introduce you to the Eisenhower matrix. When it comes up, I think you'll be more familiar with it than you realize. All right, so these are where we divide into quadrants of things that are urgent and important, not urgent but important, not important but urgent, and not urgent and not important. Is this looking familiar? So I want you to take a few seconds and soak in what this matrix is saying. And everything we do falls into one of these categories. So what quadrants do you think we want to focus on most? Generally. I mean, this is also generally speaking, this is talking about schools. I mean, just anything we do, what quadrants do we want to focus on? So yes, I'm seeing you saying we want to focus on quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. We want to focus on the things that are the most important. And one of the skills we're going to talk about today falls into quadrant 1. One falls into quadrant 2. And I never want anything that's important but not urgent to fall by the wayside. And so, yeah, again, we'll talk about that in a minute. So the 2 skills that will be extra important this school year are flexibility and the ability to maintain a high ratio of positive interactions with students. So let's first talk about flexibility. We're now improving on your strengths. As substitute teachers, you are already the most flexible educators and able to adapt to situations faster than anyone. You're able to walk into any situation and make it good. So I want you to remember this is already a strength for you. All right, have you heard of a growth mindset? Is this familiar? Yes? Good. Some of you are familiar with it, some not. So researcher Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset. She mentions that usually people have one of 2 different mindsets, a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Her thesis is that a growth mindset can be learned, which opens up a world of possibilities. It's the idea that Shakespeare didn't always know the alphabet, but later he would go on to write some of the greatest works we have in literature. So skills can be learned. So first we need to acknowledge that a growth mindset exists. We need to reflect on mistakes and do better in the future. We need to be curious and commit. Are you familiar with the term LMS? So LMS stands for Learning Management System. As we switch to online teaching more and more, school districts will be relying on LMSs. For those of you who have taken subskills or any other course at STEDI.org, you've interacted with an LMS. It's what you use to navigate learning content material. So for those who want to become more familiar with online learning, a great place to start is to become a student and take online courses. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So do you know what online learning platform, what LMS your school district uses? Especially if your district is all online, do you know what LMS you use? So it could be Canvas, Blackboard, Google Classroom. There's any number of LMSs that a school district could use. So are you ready for your first homework assignment from this webinar? Your first homework assignment is to find out what LMS your school district uses, and then watch a couple of tutorials on YouTube on how to use that LMS. This will help you feel a little more ready if you're needed. All right, so how many of you, it looks like several know which LMS your school district uses. How did you find that out? I'm assuming if you go to a school district website, you'll be able to find out after glancing through the school website which LMS they're using. So the district let you know, district sent out emails in the teacher's lesson plans, it was specified. Great. I want you to, so right now it's that information is being told to you. I want you to start being proactive in finding out this information. I want you to go to the school district website, maybe ask some parents in your neighborhood whose kids go to the school district, what LMS you're using, and then start watching tutorials on how to use that LMS. And then if you're called to substitute teach online, you're already familiar. Now, becoming curious is part of our new growth mindset. What if you're teaching in person? What can you do now to be more prepared for an assignment? It is different in person this year. And as we know, it's some sort of blend is happening quite regularly. So sometimes you might be teaching out, substituting online. Some you might be in a classroom. Likely you have friends or talk to parents, find out what their kids are doing in person when it comes to safety precautions. Start becoming curious. Read the newspaper about schools in your area and what they're saying about the safety precautions they're taking. And also see what information you can gather about your local school district and the policies they have on their website. There might also be CDC guidelines for schools in your area. Review those and become familiar with recommendations regarding social distancing and the like in the classroom. So these are a few places you can go to kind of be more prepared and find out more information about what's happening in the classrooms, and you don't have to wait for information to come to you. Maybe you could ask if you could volunteer at the school. Likely after spending an hour or two in the classroom or at a school, you'll find out exactly what the protocols are. And remember, lastly, that there is a high probability your schools could switch to online like we did in March. So keep your ear open for what LMS your school is using and review those tutorials. All right, a quick glance at this matrix again. We talked about quadrant 1 with flexibility. It's important to find out what schools' policies are, and it feels really urgent. It's important to find out what learning management systems schools are using, and if it's urgent. But I want to step into quadrant 2. This is actually the area that is, I think, the most essential to spend time in to make sure you're doing the important things that are not urgent. Now, we're going to talk about the skill that's the most important. And for those who have taken sub-skills, you know where we're going. And that's positive interactions. You know, those who have taken sub-skills, you know how powerful these positive interactions can be. And you know what conditions to set for the positive interactions to be most impactful. You know what is considered positive and what is considered negative. And for those who haven't taken sub skills, I think you'll be surprised at what might be considered positive interaction and a negative interaction. Those who have taken sub skills also know how to adapt positive interactions for different scenarios and students. Increasing the number of positive interactions we have with students has never been more important. Just think of how your life feels right now, how chaotic and uncertain it feels now. Just imagine if you're in high school or middle school or elementary school. We need strong interactions between adults and children like never before. These students, especially this year, need adults who see them, who value them, who can spot their strengths, and who can comment on the things they're doing right. We need to build bonds that are stronger and more quickly than ever before. And we do this by increasing the number of positive interactions we have with students. And this applies whether you're in person or online. And the hard part, I think we're all pretty familiar with building bonds with students in classrooms. We're used to that. We've been in classrooms before. But how do we switch to the mentality of interacting, increasing our number of positive interactions with students online? Now, can you see why this will never be urgent, but that it is important? No matter the format of your teaching, these positive interactions are key. Now, what are your thoughts on this before we move on? Yep. Yeah, these positive interactions are crucial. And I want you to remind yourself to do this. This will never become urgent, but it is important. So remind yourself to have these positive interactions. Now consider your situation. How can you best facilitate, you know your teaching situation right now. What can you do to facilitate positive interactions? And to pair that, imagine you were teaching online. How can you reach out and have positive interactions with students? I like that. Have a smile on your face when they come in, whether it's virtually or in class. Have a reward system, interactive lessons. They love to hear their names. Great. Be warm and welcoming. Ask how they're doing. Great comments. Perfect. I want you to keep this on the forefront of your mind. No matter how you teach, these positive interactions need to be, it will never be urgent, but it always is important. So here's a quick summary of other additional skills you might need through the school year. Now, how can we learn these skills? All right, so I have a deal for you today. To show our gratitude for attending this webinar, talking about positive interactions, learning about a few things about what a school you might need in order to thrive, whether online or in person, we have a deal for you today. So before I introduce the deal, I want to talk about a new course we have available at STEDI.org. It's called Teaching Online. Last March, we came together as a team and we said, okay, substitute teaching will look different in the future than it ever has before. What course can we put together? What information can we gather that will be useful for them? And this course is the product of that discussion. Now, many of you took advantage of it when we had it free in March. And so we had thousands of substitute teachers take it and had positive reviews. They found it informative, invigorating. And so we also have, which is our main course that many school districts require throughout the nation. And this is the sub skills training course. This is an 8-hour course, and it reviews the A to Z of what you'll need to know in substitute teaching. It will review classroom management, teaching strategies, professionalism, a little bit into special education, the legal aspects of your job, as well as it will provide fill-in activities you can use in case the lesson plans end early. Now, something we've learned about sub-skills this week that's been kind of interesting. We just kind of stumbled into this information, but training, we found those who have taken the sub-skills course feel more prepared generally as a substitute teacher in each aspect of substitute teaching. And I cannot say enough for this course. It is phenomenal. For those who take and pass the sub-skills course, you're invited to an alumni group, which has the best trained substitute teachers in the nation. It's a Facebook group where you can talk and dialogue and share ideas, and it is just phenomenal. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have a special offer for you today because you attended this webinar. Are you ready? Our director knocked down the price for, we have these two courses paired together, and he knocked down the price. I told him it was too low, but he insisted. So you will get today, for attending this webinar, we mentioned a few skills that you'll need for the school year, but there are endless. There are 4 additional skills found in classroom management alone, plus the 4 principles of human behavior, plus all the traps that are common traps that educators fall into, as well as teaching strategies. I mean, just endless information. So you get sub-skills. And again, if you pass that, you get invited to this private alumni group. You get the online teaching principles course, which you saw was regularly $19.95, and the classroom management audio, which is my favorite product we have. It is so phenomenal regarding, it provides example after example of how to implement the classroom management skills. And you'll get, so for the cost of sub-skills, you'll get all 3 of these products for the cost of sub-skills, what usually is. So you'll get essentially sub-skills and then 2 additional courses and material for free if you go to stedi.org/today only. Now you have to type it in exactly as you see it there, and I'll make it bigger in just a minute. Now, for those who have taken sub-skills, we've got you. So email info@stedi.org and say, I still want a good deal. I want a good deal, and we'll send you a coupon code for a good deal. We've got your back. So if you've already taken sub-skills but are interested in a good deal, email info@stedi.org, say, can I still get a good deal? And we'll take care of you. All right. So here is that website again, stedi.org/today only. If you're in the chat, can you type this in? And it has to be the capital letters and the slash at the end, just like you see it today, so that if you get the link right, if you'll put it in chat so other people can go to that website. I would love to have you in the alumni group. That's the group we take care of throughout the year. They don't know it yet, but they have some cool things coming. All right, so stedi.org/today only /, and again, the T is capitalized, the O is capitalized, and then backslash at the end. Great, we've got the link coming in the chat. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Okay, so in the last few minutes, I want you to take advantage of that deal. It really is a stellar deal. Like I said, I told the director it was too low of a price, but he insisted for you. Okay, take a breath with me because we are now entering whole new territory. You're the first group we're talking about this to. And so if you have questions, put them in chat and I'll make sure to try to get to them. So we've done something especially for this school year. We've got the online teaching course, which reviews how to teach online. It's phenomenal. But there is another aspect to this school year that we haven't yet addressed. So with the uncertainty of this school year, and we weren't sure how it was going to play out, we wanted to bring some control back into your hands. As mentioned today, you are uniquely equipped for another job that is now popping up in education, and that's tutoring, specifically online tutoring. You know how to take a teacher's lesson plan and help motivate students to complete their work. Not everyone knows that. Not everyone has those skills. and parents will pay for you to help their children. We're starting to see more and more substitute teachers get hired as tutors. And we want you to get in the action and make some extra money and control your schedule a little better. So join us on Friday for this first look at becoming an online tutor. This link will go out in a newsletter later today or tomorrow, but see if you can find it in the chat box. Jeff and Kelly and Sam and Lisa will likely be sharing this link to this webinar. We would love for you to register and talk about how to become an online tutor, make some extra money, control your schedule. And if this is to like help be in place, if school districts aren't using substitute teachers for online learning as much, we still want you to have consistent income coming in. And this is one way you can do that. Okay, so how was that for Fringy? Talking about a whole new job in education that's starting to open up. Now, to get all the links we talked about today or to view a recording of today's webinar, go to stedi.org/subs-webinars, and this information will be there. We made it. That was a lot of information. What was your biggest takeaway? I'm gonna watch in chat. I wanna hear what you learned that was helpful for you, maybe something you hadn't thought of, something that you thought of in a different way for the first time. Likely it was something said in the webinar sparked another idea, so share that in the chat. I want to see what your biggest takeaway from the chat, or excuse me, from the webinar today. I want to see what your biggest takeaway is today. So, oh good. I'm glad, Mary, you're going to take advantage of the courses. That's awesome. There is so much information. I'll be sure to thank the director. Thanks, Talanda. That's nice of you to say. I think the best way to become better at online teaching is learning online. Become a student and you'll become a better teacher. Be flexible, adapt to change. Oh, Julie, you're interested in the online tutoring? Oh, good. This is new territory and we're really excited about it. Oh, good stuff. This is really good. Great. So you're going to watch those tutorials. Very good. Good. Awesome. Okay. So last question for you. If you have topics you want covered throughout in webinars throughout the school year, email info@stedi.org and say future webinar topic and tell us what topic you would love to have covered in future webinars. We want to make these useful for you. We want to make these relevant to you. So be sure to reach out. We're here to support you, make sure you have the tools you need to have consistent income, to be a great substitute teacher, to support the teachers and students in your district. Thank you again for attending. I hope to see you in SubSkills. I hope to see you in the alumni group, and I hope to see you Friday at our next webinar.